Individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. So over here we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2.
By spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior.
By vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior.
Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual light lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
Are you suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether they're putting a bullet in their head?
I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? Aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses, such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population.
Respiratory viruses, such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population.
So here we have a pandemic prediction going all the way back to 2010. It's a hypothetical scenario called Operation Lockstep. It was put together by the Rockefeller Foundation, and those who are awake know exactly what they're all about. If not, I suggest you do your research. Lockstep outlines a future pandemic and how it would affect the world. They touch on mandatory lockdowns, streets being empty, supply chains coming to a halt, and eventual citizen pushback. There's a section in the article that says citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty, meaning freedom, and their privacy in exchange for greater safety and stability.
For us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly. So that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up, 5 years from now or a decade from now, it is knowing that down the road we're going to continue to have problems like this, particularly in a globalized world.
I would bring that perspective to the topic today is the issue of pandemic preparedness. And if there's one message that I want to leave with you today based on my experience, and you'll see that in a moment, is that there is no question that there will be a challenge, the coming administration, in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak.
Welcome to Event 201.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care. Many died. At first, the spread was limited to those with close contacts, healthcare personnel, co-workers, and families. But now it's spreading rapidly throughout local communities. International travel has turned local epidemics into a pandemic spanning the globe. Just 3 months ago, CAP started in South America, but has now reached several countries with more than 30,000 cases and nearly 2,000 deaths.
Continuing our coverage of the newly discovered CAPS disease and the scope of its deadly outbreaks. There are now more than 30,000 reported cases. Experts warn this may be just the beginning of a global problem. GNN science reporters have produced a video about what we know so far about CAPS, the virus, the outbreak, and the resulting chaos.
CAPS is a novel coronavirus related to those viruses that caused the frightening SARS epidemic in 2003 and the deadly MERS outbreaks in recent years. Scientists think each infected person in turn infects on average 2 more people. This disease is proving more transmissible than SARS or MERS and about as contagious as influenza. Essentially, the cumulative number of cases is doubling every week. At this rate, we can expect to see 16 times as many cases in a month unless we find a way to interrupt transmission. CAPS is a serious respiratory disease. More than half of the recognized cases have required hospital care, creating a huge strain on healthcare systems. The fatality rate is about 10%. Some people only exhibit mild flu-like symptoms, not requiring treatment in a hospital. Alarmingly, those people are able to walk around and spread the virus, not realizing they are doing so.
Today I want to update you on the next stage of this momentous medical initiative. It's called Operation Warp Speed. That means big and it means fast. A massive scientific, industrial, and logistical endeavor unlike anything our country has seen since the Manhattan Project. You really could say that nobody's seen anything like we're doing, whether it's ventilators or testing. Nobody's seen anything like we're doing now within our country since the Second World War. Incredible. Its objective is to finish developing and then to manufacture and distribute a proven coronavirus vaccine as fast as possible. Again,
Coronavirus. Like many viruses, it uses a protein on its surface to attach to and enter our cells. Antibodies that fit onto this protein can block the virus from attaching. Coronavirus mRNA vaccines teach our immune system to make these antibodies. How do mRNA vaccines do that? mRNA is a genetic material that instructs our cells to produce proteins. The mRNA in the vaccine is wrapped in a layer of fat particles that protect it and help it get taken up by specialized cells of the immune system called dendritic cells. Once inside these cells, the mRNA does not enter the cell's nucleus or interact with DNA.
So here we have an article from Time magazine discussing Potential uses of mRNA vaccines. Researchers used mRNA to deliver CRISPR gene editing technology. If you know anything about CRISPR, you know that the technology deals directly with the DNA. They are able to unwind DNA strands, target sequences in the genome, cut and replace, reprogram, you name it. Here they're telling you plainly that's exactly what they plan on doing with mRNA. I imagine mRNA to act similar to a zip file. You download one thing, but as soon as you unzip the file, there are all sorts of unintended files or programs that come with the package. Here they say it's the mRNA was programmed to deliver gene editing instructions to the liver, shutting down a part responsible for producing the toxic protein. So they sent this mRNA to the liver and it was able to shut down a portion of the liver. Perhaps they can shut down a specific part of the brain responsible for your zeal for God the Father.
Once inside these cells, the mRNA does not enter the cell's nucleus or interact with DNA, but remains in the cytoplasm with other mRNA molecules, waiting to create the enzymes our body needs. When ribosomes read the vaccine mRNA, pieces of the viral surface protein are made. These pieces are then displayed on the surface of the dendritic cell. The dendritic cell travels to a nearby lymph node, where it presents the surface proteins to other cells of the immune system. Some of these cells, called helper T cells, train B cells how to make antibodies that will fit perfectly onto the surface protein of the virus. Other cells stimulated by the protein pieces, called cytotoxic T cells, can kill virus-infected cells. Now, when the coronavirus tries to infect us, our immune system is ready, immediately recognizing, neutralizing, and destroying it before we ever even have a chance to become sick.
Folks, vaccination requirements work, and there's nothing new about them. They've been around for decades. We've been living with these requirements throughout our lives. So while I didn't race to do it right away, that's why I've had to move toward requirements that everyone get vaccinated, or I had the authority to do that. That wasn't my first instinct. My administration is now requiring federal workers to be vaccinated.
I have limited time. Let me just ask you something else. What % of CDC employees are vaccinated?
We're actively encouraging vaccination in all of our employees and doing a lot of education and outreach in order to get our agency fully vaccinated.
And the percent?
I don't have that for you today.
I'm told that 75 to some north of 75% of CDC employees at headquarters are still working remotely. Is that correct?
We are following regulations through HHS and the federal government.
No, that's not my question. I apologize to be rude, but I'm asking a very straightforward question. I've been told that north of 75% of employees at CDC headquarters are working remotely. Is that correct?
Senator, I don't actually know the number off the top of my head.
Okay, when you look down the hallway, are there empty desks? Are over 50% of the desks empty?
Senator, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. What I will tell you is that we're working closely within HHS and the administration to follow the governmental rules for return to
There was a recent GAO report that shows, and released in the last 2 weeks, that there's been no coordinated response in the federal government to get people back into work.
We've also required federal contractors to be vaccinated. If you have a contract with the federal government working for the federal government, you have to be vaccinated. We're requiring active duty military to be vaccinated. We're making sure healthcare workers are vaccinated, because if you seek care at a healthcare facility, you should have the certainty that the people providing that care are protected from COVID and cannot spread it to you. So today, I'm calling on more employers to act.
So here we have an article published in the New England Journal of Medicine by Dr. Fauci. In this article, he will go on to describe the severity of the virus. It's important to note that people who contracted the virus but also had other respiratory issues had a death rate of 2%. Other patients with various other health issues who contracted the virus died at a rate of 1.4%. When taking the potential increase in numbers of people who are asymptomatic carriers, the death rate drops to 0.1%. He then contrasts those numbers with that of SARS and MERS, which we've heard about earlier in the video, which have significantly higher percentage of death than what we're faced with in the current pandemic. Why does the whole world need to be vaccinated when people who contract the virus, especially healthy people, have a 99.9% chance of survival, according to Dr. Fauci's published words? What's in the vaccine, and why the push